Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey, ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you at a 10. If you are not feeling a 10 or living a life that you could call a 10, then it is my intention to give you one nugget today of inspiration towards your transformation. So when I first heard this, it was years and years and years ago from a friend of mine, and he told me I could live a life of a 10. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what does that mean? I am not a 10. Immediately you think of like, gymnastics and doing some crazy flip or something and getting a 10 score. But it's similar to that, but it's such an easy way to understand where you are in life. I think the hospitals have adopted this on a pain scale, which is so wonderful because it immediately gives you a snapshot of how you're feeling in any given moment. And I just love it. And I use it in coaching. I use it from stage. I use it in any kind of like a guided meditation walkthrough. I just used it yesterday on a call. Actually, it was on a sister call a couple weeks ago. And we were doing this meditation walkthrough. So they have their videos on, but their eyes are closed. We're doing this walkthrough. And I said, okay, if you tell me you went from, how we did with this energy work. Now tell me how you feel before. Show me on your hands. How do you feel before? And then at the end, show me on your hands how you feel now. And it's such a great, fast way to look inward and go, how do I feel? And then give me a number. And this is so, if you can adopt this, you can really, really accelerate specific areas in your life. I was working with a friend of mine today. We were I work at a resort, very, very part-time and very sporadic, but I definitely needed, as an entrepreneur and now having online stuff, I need to get out of the house. So I took this very highly physical job as a cleaner and as a housekeeper, and I work at this resort where I clean these really cool cabins. And I just love it. People will be like, really, Jen? You're like a speaker. You could be making all kinds of money and having a life of leisure and freedom. And that'd be great. But I've spent so much time in front of the computer, my body was suffering. And so someone would be like, okay, well, go exercise, go ride your bike, go work out, go pick up some new activity that gets you out and about. But, I really like helping people. And so going out and working out, all that is so wonderful and lovely, and I love it. Amy and I, we go on hikes, we go snowshoeing, we go kayaking, we bike ride, we do all these things, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I needed something that I could really put my mind into, that I could kind of forget about being an entrepreneur, and I could just go and give my service to somebody else, and it feels good to do that. So anyway, so I work with this other woman, and she's about 20 years older than me. And actually maybe not 20, she's about 15 years older than me. And she can be a little bit negative. So here's an example. We were cleaning in a cabin, and she has a broken ankle right now. And I said, she first gets there, and she's walking crooked and sideways, and she can't wear the really big boot that you would normally assume that somebody with a broken ankle would wear. I mean, she's like 3 weeks into this broken bone, and it's the talus, which is the front part of your ankle, the front bone that lifts the toes up. It's that bone that supports that. Anyway, so she can't lift her foot that way, so she walks kind of sideways. And she comes in, and I'm like, we've been working all week, and I said, how's the ankle? And she's like, it hurts. And I said, on a scale from 1 to 10, what is your pain level? What a great way to depict where somebody is, right? And so she goes, well, as I'm standing here, I'm like a 7. So we work for a few hours. At the end of the day, we only clean 2 of the bigger cabins. No big deal. But there's obviously, it's cleaning. So it's very physically demanding. So at the end of the day, at the end of these, I don't know, I was there for 4 hours or something. At the end of the day, I ask her, what's your pain level now? And she says it's a 10. And I'm like, so what the heck? What are you doing at work? And she's stubborn. So nobody in the world is going to tell her to stay home. And nobody in the world is going to tell her she can't do something. She's very, very stubborn in that way. And I think to the point of this stubbornness, to the point that it's going to create more problems for her down the road. But don't think for a second that I am like, hey, why don't you come in and, work for a couple of hours? Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. So, but now ask yourself in this moment, in any area of your life, ask yourself in this moment, how do I feel about this area? Whatever, health, wealth, relationships, your job, your partner, your kids, your house, spirituality, anything, whatever topic. Take that main topic that you are struggling with right now, that you just think, if I could just get this one straightened out, my life would be perfect. Okay? So take that topic that you would walk up to somebody and complain about and ask yourself, what is my number currently? Now, tomorrow your number might be different, but what is it right now? And if that number is below a 7, my next question for you to ask yourself is, what can I do to raise my number one notch? I had a friend who would come over for coaching and would call randomly and show up at the house, and we would get right to coaching. And most of the time at the beginning of the coaching, I would say, okay, what number are you? She's like, I'm a -14. And I'm like, oh God, holy crap, we've got some work to do. And we'd spend an hour or two working together and coaching and moving some energy and kind of uncovering some beliefs that were holding her back. And basically at this point, like holding her head underwater. And so at the end of the coaching, I would ask her, how are you feeling now? On a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling? And she's like, I'm an 8. Well, that is amazing. So that is the power that I am expressing to you of how amazing and how wonderful your life can be if you just use this little tiny scale to decipher where you're currently at, and then asking yourself the question, how in the world do I now go up a level? If you've been listening to my podcast, you heard me tell the story about Amy and her coworker, and her coworker was having her her partner downstairs, because she works at the front desk at a dentist's office. Her partner downstairs was having a really, really, really hard time with this hygienist that was working upstairs. Like, this hygienist was bullying her at work. Both of them adult women. Crazy. Anyway, and so when I was coaching her, I said, listen, periodically, I want you guys to ask each other, what's your number? Or Amy, ask this coworker, not the bully, but the other one, ask how she's doing. And she's like, so periodically. So Amy knows this work. And so I'm like, I'm going to give this little job to her. And she's like, okay. So then periodically throughout the day, she would say, hey, I'll call her Chris. Her name is not Chris, but I'll call her Chris just for this podcast. Hey, Chris, how are you feeling? What's your number? She's like, I'm a 2. Then Amy would ask, what can you do right now to bring it up to a 3? And she's like, well, maybe I need to, go outside real quick. I'll go get the mail, or I'll go outside and get some fresh air, or maybe tell me a joke, or distract me from what I'm doing right now, or something. And then they would do that thing. Okay? So if you ask yourself right now, in the area of your finances, what's your number? Oh, I'm an 8. Okay, great. You don't have to do anything. Keep being an 8. Keep believing what you're believing. Keep flowing energy towards that thing so it continues to feel good and get better. So now I say, okay, what about your health? Oh gosh, I'm a 2. Oh, okay, holy moly. What would it take for you to be a 3? Well, I need to feel better. My body hurts. Okay, so what can you do in this moment to feel better? Well, you know what? I've been sitting at the computer all day. I think maybe if I were to get up and move around, that would be a 3. Great. So, and then you just keep going. So now I'm going to get up and move around. Did that work? If the answer is no, what else can I do? If the answer is yes, yeah, it really felt good to get away from the computer, get outside, feel the fresh air, take a nice deep breath, look at the expanded universe and the earth around me, the big trees and the sky and the clouds, right? And then, yeah, I'm a 3. Matter of fact, I might be a 4. Awesome. Ask again. What would it take for you to be a 5? I think if I were to go for a walk, I think if I were to pack up my dogs and take them to the park and walk around the track, I think that that would make me a 5. Okay, then go do that, right? Go do that. Do that thing. Become a 5. Take charge of your emotional state. Take charge of your emotional state. If you listen to the podcast where I was talking about how COVID has struck us down, that was a wonderful family Christmas present. The fatigue for me was awful, 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 awful. And I was doing this exact exercise that I'm telling you. If you've had COVID or if you've had some really serious fatigue, I am talking serious fatigue. I have never felt like an empty can in my entire life. I was absolutely a 0. And it didn't matter, no matter how long I laid in bed or slept or anything, I never felt better after a 4-hour nap. Like I didn't become any more rejuvenated or feeling better or anything. So a couple of days goes by and I'm like, I'm not getting out of bed. Like I cannot even sit up. I have no energy. What number am I? I'm a 0. What is it going to take for me to be a 1? Because I didn't have any energy, it's not like I'm going to go outside. It's not like I'm going to go for a walk. I can't get out of bed. I can't move. I'm tired. I'm like beyond fatigue. So what's it going to take? All right, well, maybe I would read a book. Okay, I don't have the mental energy. Okay, this is hard. I'm still a 0. Like I can't even come up with ideas. So what I had to do is tap into my visualization skills. So if I literally could not move, I had to tap into my visualization skills just to raise my numbers. And it was like 0, instead of 0 to 1, it was like 0 to 0.2. I mean, it was very incremental. Instead of moving up by an inch, I'm moving up by a millimeter. Whatever it is you have to do, this is where you become in charge. This is where you become empowered. Your emotional state is strictly your responsibility. Your emotional state is strictly your responsibility. If I'm mad about something and I say, okay, so I'm really pissed off about this thing, I'm a 2 right now. I might even be a 0, right? What do I got to do to be a higher number? Well, that person needs to do something different. No, don't do that. Your emotional state is up to you. I need to do something different. I need to look at this scenario or this person differently. I need to distract myself from it. I need to forgive. I need to release it. I need to let go of something. Or I need to just go over here and maybe I need to move my body and move some of that energy. Because anger is a expansive emotion. So you're typically up and moving and your arms are flailing and your jaw is clenched and your mouth is going. So do those things. Do that. Move that energy. So also know that when you are in an emotional state, like a lower vibrational state, is to know that you can't go from a 1 to a 10. Now, maybe if you were a 1 and then Publishers Clearinghouse showed up and gave you $1 million check, that probably could launch you right up to a 10. But typically when we're just doing this emotional work and this energy work is that we're going to incrementally go up. So I used to say this, another analogy for you, but I used to say this to my class that I was teaching this work to several years ago, is if you're standing on the ground floor and there's a loft 20 feet above you, and to the left of you is a set of stairs, the obvious choice is to go up the stairs. So what I would tell my class is, as you're standing down here in the middle of the floor, I want you to jump up to the loft. And they would just look at me sideways, right? And I would say, no, jump up to the loft. And they're like, I can't. I said, well, try. And even if they did try, they're only jumping, 8, 10, 12 inches off the ground. So probably not 12 inches. But then I would say, okay, well, how else can you get up there? And they would just look over to they thought I was stupid. They'd look over to the stairs and I said, okay, so now go up to the loft. And they'd walk over there and they'd go up the loft. One step at a time. Be patient with yourself as you are learning these tools and you are learning how to navigate your emotions, your thoughts, your words, your energy, your chakras. Whatever it is that you're starting to learn and you're starting to pick up some momentum, be patient with yourself, because I can guarantee you, you're going to take this information and go, this is such a great idea. And a whole day will go by and you'll forget to use any of these tools. But just listening to them will bring your numbers up, because it gives you hope, it gives you empowerment, it gives you a choice, it gives you support even. But you'll forget to use the tool. And then tomorrow you'll be like, oh, that's right. Because I'm having a bad day. What's my number? I'm a 4. What do I got to do to be a 5, right? You'll start to use the tools more often, but maybe you'll just use it once or twice in a week. It's okay. When this person taught me this information, I didn't all of a sudden become a vibrational frequency expert. I had to learn these tools one by one. I had to take in the analogies. I would get really excited because I read the information or someone shared it with me or I heard it somewhere. And I get really excited, so my numbers would just naturally go up, because I'm like, okay, once I'm feeling terrible, I'll remember this tool and I'll use it next time. And I'd forget, and you'll forget. And there's nothing wrong with that. All I'm doing is giving you one more tool to put in your toolbox. Just like when you get a set of screwdrivers, I don't need a screwdriver in this moment. Thanks, for this Christmas present. I love screwdrivers, and eventually will need them. I'm just going to put them in my toolbox for right now. When I need them, I'll pull them out and use them. So that's all I'm asking you to do. And to me, this is a very simple lesson, a very, very simple tool to get that quick introspection. How am I feeling right now? Can be a harder challenge for some people. When I would coach people, I'd say, okay, what emotion is this? I don't know. Maybe frustration? Okay, is it more frustration or more anger? Ooh, I think it's more anger. Okay, is it more anger or more overwhelm? It's more anger. Okay, is it more anger or more chaos? Maybe it's more chaos, right? So sometimes that's a little bit harder to decipher, putting a word to how you're feeling. But as you're starting to go along this journey and picking up new ways of doing things, new tools, skills, and talents will start to surface for you, making this journey that much easier. So that was just a quick podcast for you today, a quick episode to just give you a little bit of inspiration. As you're going about your day, just do a quick check-in. How am I feeling? What number am I? And if it's below a 7, just simply ask yourself, what can I do to become the next number? What can I do to move up one level? And then do that thing. Hope to see you next time. Have a great one. If you liked this episode and look forward to future episodes, please consider making a small monthly donation to help support this podcast. If you are looking for a community to join and have more access to me, then consider one of the following platforms. Chakras for Beginners is an energy-based community that is highly active and growing every day. Lady Rising is a sistership community where the focus is on spiritual support and connection. We hold monthly calls and talk about topics such as today's episode. We also have an online store where you can meet your meditation and chakra needs with products for your journey. You can visit us at www.themeditationroomtc.com. Thank you for joining me and being a valued listener.